Hi guys and welcome to my review of Boku no Hero chapter whatever we're at. This is not going to be just a review of the chapter, it's going to be basically a review of all of the chapters that have been about the little training thing where we have right now. Because I've been missing doing Boku no Hero and I just haven't had time, or I've just been sleeping or something. But we're back, and I'm just gonna quickly sum up my feelings about some of the things happening. So this might be very long, and I really wanted to do the Endeavor thing today as well, so let's see how far I get. Depends on how long this video will be, probably. This arc has been great so far. I'm really enjoying, I always really enjoy training stuff, because it gives you a very, sometimes very calm environment, compared to the big things with the villains and stuff, and you get some character focus, especially here we're getting introduced to these, because we know Class B and we know a couple of people pretty well, right? But there are some characters that we just don't know much about. There are quirks where I remember when we got this arc, I was I just kind of did a reread of Class B and their quirks and who were who and stuff, and I honestly don't remember anything. But we have this one guy whose quirk is manga, whatever, or comics, or something of the and it's just what does he do? What is happening? And you have lots of people whose quirks I'm unsure about, or I don't know how they were gonna apply them, or something like that. And then there are just characters whose personality are completely unclear to me. So it makes a lot of sense to have a calmer arc to just introduce these characters and reintroduce some of the ones we know already, like Kendo and Tetsu and Monoma and Ibara and those people. And it's another really, really great arc to just have Shinshou back, because Shinshou has been more or less foreshadowed to join Class 1A at some point. And then I'm gonna say Class 1A because I do, aside from the fact that I do firmly believe that Uraraka is a traitor, I do believe that even if she isn't the one, I think the traitor should come from Class 1A. And this is just gonna be quickly on the traitor, just why Shinshou makes sense for me. I think Class 1A would have the traitor because it's been this long now since we were introduced to the concept of the traitor, and even before the manga itself introduced it, which was before or after the training camp arc. We had plenty of materials to go on that there was a traitor, and we've had theories for the traitor ever since the attack on USJ, and because it's been so long now, well past 100 chapters, I think it would make sense that at this point it would have to be someone who Deku knows, because Deku's our protagonist, and the reveal of the traitor will have to hurt him personally. And that's why I think, because this is a very character-focused series, it would make the most sense for the traitor to come from Class 1A, whether that be Uraraka, Kaminari, or Hagakure, or whoever is whoever's theorized to be the traitor. I don't know, I still believe it's Uraraka. I think it makes sense for it to be 1A, and it would then give us a really good reason to have someone new join that class. Just because I think it's too early to kill someone off, even though we could take Mineta and just throw him in the trash, right? So yeah, that's just quickly on Shinshou. And I adore his character. I really love him. I really love the Aizawa aspect of him, because we know Aizawa took not a liking to him, but an interest in him, and we know that Aizawa had his whole little rant about how the entrance exam works, because it's someone like Shinshou could be really, really good. He has a really good quirk, and it would work really well, and it's very versatile if you know how to use it correctly. But against robots, it's just what's he gonna do? Unless he's also physically very strong, can literally punch the robot and destroy it. And it's the same with Aizawa. Aizawa, what would he have been able to do in that exam? How does erasing people's quirks even work? And as he said in this chapter, even his scarf thing, it took him 5 or 6 years to master how to use it. So even if Shinshou feels he wasn't working it as well as he should have been able to, it's he can't really compare himself to Aizawa, who's a pro at this, to himself, who's been probably had this scarf for a couple of weeks, months maybe, whoever long he's been talking to Aizawa, which really can't have been more than 3 months, because that's, I think, the time between the Summer Sports Festival and now. Maybe 4 months, I'm not entirely sure. We're entering winter, so we're getting there. Winter, I'm gonna speak about the less important stuff first, because this is Boku no Hero, this is me. I am gonna talk about Bakugo. Uh, that's just how it is. If you didn't know anything about me and Boku no Hero, you will know I always talk about Bakugo because he's my fave. But I'm just gonna talk about him shortly until I get into some of the real stuff. And that is, I love his new costume. I love his winter outfit is really cool. It's just I was literally Deku when we got Gachin's new outfit because I was just like, wow, Gachin, that's really great, and it has all these great things it can do for you. Because obviously, when you work with a power that needs sweat, you need to be warm. He can't just like, because it's not like he generates fire like Todoroki does. He just works with the heat that he has to create naturally from his palms. So it makes a lot of sense that he would have a costume that would, in winter, keep him very warm. So that, like, he wouldn't need to, like, warm up his muscles and, like, hands to make an explosion. He should be able to do it, like, on the spot, even though he does have, like, his little containers with grenades and stuff like that. But still, I assume it's probably better for him to be able to control how he does his explosions. So, like, the costume looks great. It's really, I think the high neck is a really, really great, like, little hint of Bastionism, because, like, that's his thing. And it does not seem like a coincidence that Gachin has that now. And he just looks really, really good. But that's just my little thing. Like, obviously, my only thing would have been that it covers up his arms too much, because we all know that I love his arms, but, like, it's so tight, so even that's great. Regardless. That was my little Bakugo thing. What other small things have happened? Oh, I also really love, again, with Shinshou. I love how he was like, I'm not here to make friends, and yet we all know, like, that's not really gonna work, because Bakugo and Todoroki both had the same attitude coming into one, and look where they are now. So that's really great. What I most want to talk about, I think, during this little arc, I want to talk about the team-ups and opponents and stuff, because if I was gonna make this before we saw anything of the matches, because I talked about this with my friend. That's the right words. I thought it would be really interesting to have Shinshou win both his matches, because there was so much focus on him, like, being a handicap because he doesn't have the experience and he's not like he's way behind his physical powers and that strong and stuff. And even though his quirk is really good, they know what it is, and it's not strictly combat suited. It's more like for clever people. Not to say that Shinshou's not clever. I mean, if he wasn't, there would be no point in this. But I think it would be really interesting, because we know he won the first one now, and I think it would be really interesting for him to win the second one too, which is also, again, interesting because he's against Deku. So yeah, that was just quickly on Shinshou, but I want to talk specifically about the teams. I'm gonna kind of skip the first one just because we already saw that match. So it's Tsuyu, Koda, Kaminari, and Kirishima. But I thought that team up was really interesting because you have Tsuyu as the obvious leader. Although I think it is also one of the critiques she got. Like, she should have been, like, focused more on, like, doing things rather than just, like, worrying about everything. But I think it was like, for a team just in general, like, and they could work on that in the future too. But I think it's really good because Kaminari and Kirishima are used to working together. You have Koda, who has a quirk that could potentially be information gathering and give them a big, like, what's it called, like, vision of the field and stuff like that, and just very versatile, again, if you know how to use it correctly. And then Tsuyu is just, like, an all-rounder. Tsuyu's been done many times before, and she's also always talked about. She's definitely one of the top heroes in our class. And she's just generally, I feel like she'd make a really, really good leader if she just, like, went more into that role. So just overall, that team was really interesting, and of course with Shinshou as well. So that was really great. Now the second team, which is the team we're following right now, Momo, Hagakure, Tokoyami, and Aoyama. This team, let's make my prediction first. I think they will lose. And that has a lot to do with the fact that they are against Kendo, and I think because we're getting more with Class B, I think we're gonna need to see some wins from their side. But also, I don't see how this team will work together really well. There isn't an obvious leader. It has to be Momo, but we know she has struggled with confidence in the past, so she's definitely gonna be the chosen leader. She's gonna more quickly adapt into that role, I think, but I don't think she has the experience quite yet to take it. Because even with the Baku over 2 log or whatever we can call that, that little side story of that, she wasn't really the leader, even though she controlled a lot of things that were happening. It was more like her and Ida keeping everyone in check, and then, you know, Todoroki, Kirishima, and Deku kind of doing what they wanted to do. But I would like for, obviously I would like for it to not like just be a complete defeat on their part, but I think it would be really interesting to see like them lose, and also just like it's a very interesting, what can you say, very interesting team, because we have Tokoyami who has darkness, and we have Aoyama who has light, we have Momo who can create stuff, and Hagakure who's nothing. But they do have like a thing that I noticed that all these teams have is that they always have one person who would be really great as a scout. Obviously in this case it would be Harakure when you get to who the others are later, although it should be pretty obvious. Which would be like vital in this battle. But another thing is that we just don't know the other people's quirks. So obviously my sense of who will win and who will lose is entirely based on how well I think the team will work together and the little tidbits of information we have from the other team, but like it's mostly how I think they will work together. I also think that Aoyama is not the best team player, and while Tokoyami wants to be, he isn't always. He tends to work by himself, and I don't actually know how good Harakure is in combat, because she's a good scout and all, but it's like I don't know what she can do. Like, if you know she's there, how hard is it for you to literally just grab her and throw her in jail? I don't know. But I do think it's gonna come down to how quickly Momo will accept her role as a leader, which I think is gonna be like, that's probably already happened, and just how well she gets everyone to work together. But I still ultimately think they're gonna lose just because this is a bad team up for them. And by that I don't mean their opponents. I just mean that these particular people probably won't work well together, and I don't think their quirks are as compatible as some of the other teams we'll see. That gives me that. I will now move on to team number 3. Ida, Shoji, Todoroki, and Ojiro. I just name Ojiro. Yeah. This team I think is great. I mean, having Todoroki on your team is always a good thing, especially now that he's like, he's learning how to work with people more, and he's improving so much, not with his quirk, but like just with himself as maybe not a leader, but like just a person who's easier to be around and easier to work with. I think the leader should obviously be Ida. We know Todoroki has a great respect for him, just being class rep. And I don't see Shoji or Ojiro as leaders anyway, so I think that will go to Ida. And yes, I do think it's important to have a leader, because sometimes you need to make quick decisions. Again, we have Shoji as a scout, which again I think is really great. You have on the other side of the team here, we have Tetsu, who is very loud. But you also have these other people who I don't really know much about. I don't remember them. Which is probably bad for me, because I feel like at least one or two of them we should know more about, but I don't remember. Anyway, I think this is a really good team, because you have all of them are pretty, or well, all of them except for Todoroki are pretty well versed in close combat, which is a lot of what this task is about, because you need to get close to your opponent to capture them. But Todoroki does have his ice, which is also very good for capturing people. But I do hope this will be one of those lessons where Todoroki especially will learn that he needs more close combat experience and just skill, because we know he's been told many times before not to just rely on his quirk, because it is so powerful. It's very easy to just rely on it, but you can't always do that. I mean, if you're up against someone like Aizawa, or someone who's just like a very bad matchup for your quirk, or in this case quirks, you need to be able to do more things, and I think that's probably gonna be a big thing for Todoroki here, is that he's gonna do that. But I do ultimately think they're gonna win, but it's probably gonna be a close one. I think it would be really interesting if Todoroki got captured, because he has less experience with close combat. But of course, it also depends on the quirks of the other team. But I think ultimately they would win because I think they're a really good team, and I think all of them are really good at working with people. Todoroki not at quite the level as the three others, but he's getting there. So I think just for compatibility, I think they're really great. They're a very balanced team. They have everything like long range, mid range, short range combat. They have one of the best scouts on their team because that's more or less Shochi's whole thing. So I think that's a really, really interesting team. So I think for them to really have for them to really feel challenged, the team they're up against must be good. So I have high hopes for this because I do think all the battles will be super interesting. But I think that's definitely one of the stronger teams, second strongest actually, after this next one. I may be a little biased in saying that Bakugo's team is the strongest, but like, look, look, I think this is a great team up. Obviously you need Bakugo as the leader because he does not wield to anyone else, and that's probably a problem for now, but for now we can work with it because he's not clashing against other leader types. But we have, with Bakugo we have Jiro, Zero, and we have Sato. I think this is a great team. I talked to my friend about this and I was very strongly feeling this was the strongest team we had. The only thing that needs to be like important is that Bakugo needs to allow people to work with him. He can just take the role as the leader, but he is getting better at that. So with the power of character development, this is gonna work great, I think. And it really helps that with the exception of Sato, I think Bakugo is on quite good terms with both Zero and Jiro. Worked with both of them before. And again, we just have the great balance of people here. We have Jiro, again, the obvious scout. She can hear things. And that's just really good. We have Zero, great maneuverability, long range, and really good for capturing. I think Zero in this entire battle exercise thing, I think he's gonna be like the greatest thing ever. Because he has the best power for capturing, and it's a great power for maneuverability, especially in the kind of field that they're in, which is like buildings and everything, because his power also doesn't destroy when he attaches to things. So I think Zero is going to be really, really great, and I hope that Bakugo knows how to utilize that. But as we've seen from the Summer Sports Festival, even though he's not really the nicest person when he works with people, he still knows how to use people as long as he's allowed to be the leader. Which again makes sense. There are literally no other leader types here. Then we have Sato, really good for close combat, as I said before. That's probably going to be a really, really important skill to have. Jiro, who's more like mid-ranged, as a scout, she's going to be great. As a fighter, I'm not entirely sure. I really want her to have a weapon at some point. Because we saw her at the USJ when she fought with Momo. She had like a sword or a stick, or I'm pretty sure it was a sword that Momo made for her. So I want that to come back because I feel like it would be really good for her to have some sort of close combat weapon at her disposal. Yeah, but I think that's just, I don't need to talk about Bakugo because we all know if I start talking about that. But we all know how great of a fighter he is. He's going to be very, very hard to capture. And he's going to be stubborn as hell. Every single character here has something they have to overcome. For Bakugo, it's always working with people. But he's getting there slowly, and we've seen that he's developed and slowly learning how to move, how to work with others, and be a little calmer about it, even though he's like, meh. Okay, this brings me to my last team, which is Deku, Uraraka, Ashido, and Mineta. I think this team is straight up gonna fail, and that has nothing to do with the fact that I said that I want Shinshou to win both of his matches. That has something to do with the fact I think this is a really bad team. First of all, I have zero faith in Mineta, but that's not the entire reason. First of all, Deku and Uraraka, they work well together. We've seen that multiple times, so that's great to have those two paired up. They look really happy about it too, because just the fact that you have teamwork experience with someone you're on a team with, that's gonna help you a great deal. Which is another reason why the previous team I talked about was really good, because yeah. But Deku has not worked with Ashida before, and Mineta is kind of like, yeah. And the thing, I just, this team doesn't have a natural scout. They have Uraraka, but it's not like, that's actually not her field of expertise. Is not to like spy on people. She's weirdly combat focused. And their quirks individually are actually really great for capture, especially Uraraka and Mineta. But their saving grace is definitely gonna be Deku taking on the leader role. I mean, surprise, surprise, and him getting the team together. But I just think that because we have someone like Mineta, and especially Ashida, who is a very quirky, impulsive personality, I think they're not gonna work as well together as they could have if they had more, if they've been in this group before. And I feel like Monoma has been losing so much despite him being like the most known character from Class B. I feel like we need to see him win. Yeah, that's another reason. But I really, and I generally do really like to see Deku lose, because when Deku loses, he doesn't get bitter. He just sees it as an opportunity to better himself every single time. So I would love to see that, and it would. I think also if they lost here, it would help Deku mature more as a leader, because he is naturally, he always ends up taking the leadership role, and he doesn't even think about it. He just does it. But I think if he could very consciously think about what makes him a good leader and what doesn't, and how to use people, that sounds really bad, but you know what I mean. I think that would be really, really great for him, because again, he always takes the leader role very unintentionally. Because either no one else steps up, or he's just very stubborn about what he wants to do, or because he's with Uraraka, who does not take leadership at all. So I just think losing for him here, where he's naturally gonna be the leader, would be really great for his character. So that's my overall thought about those teams. So just to sum up, I think obviously Team Suya won, but that was pretty much expected. Team Momo, I think they will lose, but that's probably the one I'm least confident about saying. Team Ida will win, Team Bakugo will win, and Team Deku will lose, is my official prediction there. And of course Shinshou will win both of his matches. Okay, I should probably talk more about Shinshou when I was at him, but you know, that's fine. I love his new voice device as well, that can mimic other people's voice, and I like that we got more restrictions of his thing. So like he has to speak directly to a person. It can't be like through a communicator or something like that. It's just I really think like getting his quirk explained more is really great, and also it makes it seem a little less overpowered. Regardless, it's been a couple of really great chapters of this arc. Kind of really sad that I didn't get to do it weekly, but I'm gonna get back to that. And what else have I missed? Just the chapter's just really great, or all the chapters are real. It's Boku no Hero. It's great. There's nothing bad about Boku no Hero. Yeah. I really enjoyed Suyu. In the first match here. She's always great, best girl. But it's also just really nice to see the interactions between Class A and Class B, because you can see, like, there's a sense of, like, a team with the class. Like, you can really tell they're one unit when you pit them against each other, because within Class A, you can, like, overall, you can kind of, like, split them up into like the Deku squad and the Baku squad, but like under there we have like the smaller groups, like we have Deku, Ida, and Uraraka, and we have Avo coming out in Kirishima. Then under there we have like some others, like we have Momo and Jiro always hanging out together and stuff like that. So they're obviously their cliques, but they are the cliques, whatever, I don't like calling them cliques, groups, whatever, are very versatile. They interact well with each other. So you have people like Kaminari, or like Kirishima, who's really good at talking to everyone, despite the fact that he's mostly pitted just with Bakugo. So I think it's really great to see them like being pit against this other class, just because you get to see this sense of camaraderie, or just a sense of like class A as a unit that we don't see when they're pit against each other. So I think that's really great for that. Now, again, as I said before, it's really, really nice to see class B, because you can see that Horikoshi spent a lot of time developing these characters for the other class, but we don't get to see them as much because they're not the protagonists or in the protagonist class. So it's really great to have this opportunity to learn more about them, while also keep developing class 1A and their abilities and stuff. Because this is also a good arc, because while in a training arc you can't really see, like, you don't get character development, but you often see like the results of character development, like with Todoroki and Bakugo that I've talked about. And you can see like the potential for more character development to occur, like with Deku, as I talked about before, with Momo, or again with Todoroki. And you get to see, because we know they've all been working on new abilities, and we haven't really seen much except for the group of people we had with the overhaul arc. So it's just really, really great way to showcase how everyone's developed both in character and just in strength within the series. So yeah, I really love this arc, because I can understand why this is an arc which for some people might get a little boring, because story-wise there isn't a lot here. Like, we have a few plot points that might begin or form or something like that, but there isn't really a plot like we just had the overhaul arc, or even with the Endeavor arc, which had a lot of story behind it. There isn't much here, but because Boku no Hero for me is all about characters, that's what I mean, I love the story, don't get me wrong, I think the plot is great. But what really draws me in with Boku no Hero, what makes it one of my favorite stories, is that the characters are so great. So seeing the characters like this, where we can just enjoy how they've developed and how they can keep developing, that's definitely something I really, really enjoy. I think maybe that's it, because everything else more or less just combat, and I don't need to tell you that I thought that's really cool. Yeah, I'll just stop talking now, but I'm really excited, and I will get back to doing the weekly reviews. So I will stop here, and hopefully I'll have some time to talk about the Endeavor, because I have a lot of thought, and I'm probably gonna get a little bit angry. But now you know, so you can leave a thumbs up. You can leave in the comments below what you thought of this arc so far. I don't really know what to call it, but you know what I'm talking about. And you can subscribe if you want to see more Boku no Hero, which I promise I'm going to do more of, because I really miss talking about it. And until next time, bye.